Hi, thank you for joining me. In this video, I'm going to shed some light on depression because it is serious and it gets trivialized. Depression is not a choice, it's an illness. Depression is very common and it's greatly misunderstood. I have been depressed and it's an awful thing to feel. The misconceptions and the judgment are just as bad. People think you're lazy, you're just choosing to be miserable because you're thinking negatively, you're ungrateful. It's not because of any of those things. It's chemical. It happens because of changes in the brain chemistry. This can be triggered by trauma or loss, but it can also occur on its own for no apparent reason. Some people are more vulnerable to it than others. Part of that is down to genetics. And some people are just naturally prone to anxiety and depression because of their personality. That's not their fault. They don't choose to be that way. They just are. Life can get very hard for them because other people don't understand and they say, snap out of it. So they blame themselves and try to just carry on. Depression can affect anyone at any time. No one is immune to mental disorders. It's not simply about circumstances and what you have or don't have. People do become depressed when they're living in difficult circumstances, but also you can be very rich and still be depressed because it's an internal issue. It's about how you feel inside, about yourself and about the world. And when you're not producing enough serotonin, your mood becomes low, no matter how good your life is. Your thinking becomes altered, and that's what society fails to understand. So often people will say, what have you got to be depressed about? Other people have it so much worse than you. That's not how it works. Depression and anxiety often go together. They feed off each other. Anxiety makes you depressed, and depression makes you anxious. Being depressed is like having a black cloud hanging over you all the time. The world feels very dark. You have no energy. You get very little pleasure from anything. People get good at hiding it because they don't want other people to see how they really feel. There is a lot of social pressure on them, and they feel unable to talk to anyone about it. Over time, it gets worse. This is one of the reasons why people turn to drink and drugs, because life feels so difficult, they can't get themselves out of it, and they're desperate for any kind of relief, even if it is temporary. Unfortunately, it sends some people down a path of self-destruction, and not being able to talk about it makes people more vulnerable to self-harm. What people don't realise is that you don't want to feel this way. You want to feel good and enjoy things, but you can't. Most people who are depressed are desperately trying not to be. It makes it all so much worse when other people say it's your fault. People underestimate the seriousness of it and just think it's no big deal. Very often suicide is a result of untreated depression. That's how serious it can get. You can't just choose to be happy. It's not that simple. You can recover from depression, but just like it is with all mental illnesses, you have to seek help and it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes medication is necessary because if you have a chemical imbalance, that's the only thing that will restore it back to normal. Depression has to become acceptable. It needs to be taken seriously, and people need to know the real facts because there are millions of people worldwide who are in danger. They're suffering in silence and not talking to anyone about it because of all the beliefs and attitudes. The world needs to get talking about it because if someone is depressed and not getting help, they're at risk. Talking saves lives. Silence takes lives. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for watching. See you next time.